Statements expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of WWDB, its staff, or management.
You are listening to In the Know with David O. Informative, substantive, intelligent talk radio on 860 AM WWDB. And now, your host, Philadelphia Councilman David O.
Good afternoon. Hi, this is David O. on this rainy Tuesday afternoon. I am so glad that you are joining me. I'm happy to be here because I have some really great guests. Well, as you know, last week we had a very important discussion. We had some very informative folks on to tell us about how to get into the movies, and this week we have a question that's going to be answered later in the show, and it's an important question. How to get money for college. Listen, I'm a father of 4 young kids, 9, 6, 4, and 2, and I'm just counting on, like, how much is college going to cost by the time they're 18? And the costs have gone up so much, and, you know, one of the answers is the military. And so why don't you listen and see what has today's armed forces, what have they got for anyone who wants to go to college? I'm not saying it's easy. You don't just get money for nothing, but, you know, you may be surprised what's there. Another guest that I'm excited to have, and I know you are too, is songstress Carol Riddick. She's certainly, you know, a music icon here in our region, but also, as you know, she's been on platinum records. Is that what we call them, Carol? Records? Do we call them like CDs?
We still call them records.
Okay, even though they're not records. Yeah, so she is here. She's got a new CD out, and of course, you know, this is a tough business to be in. And she has been in it with the best and is certainly out there, you know, making her mark as a acclaimed artist. But right now, I have someone who I'm sure you would like to get to know, whether you're from Bucks County or not, and that is the new District Attorney of Bucks County, Matthew D. Weintraub. Matt, how are you?
I'm great, David. Thank you for having me on.
Hey, thanks for being here. Let's tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, and I'll just start off by the fact that you're a graduate of Temple University, so you know Philadelphia quite well, and you're, you know, you were born and raised in this area.
That's right. I'm primarily from Bucks County, but as you know, I went to Temple Law School for 3 years in the early 90s, and I'm proud to say that I got to take advantage of all the great things that Philadelphia had to offer at that time.
Okay, fantastic. And quite a good ball player, by the way. You know, he's a little older. He probably doesn't want to admit that because that just opens him up for challenges when he goes to high schools and colleges. I mean, be sure to challenge him, you know, in some hoops or whatever you do. But, you know, Matt Weintraub grew up in Upper Southampton Township. He's a graduate of William Tennant High School, Ursinus College, and Temple University School of Law. He earned his law degree in 1993 and worked as an assistant district attorney in Bucks County from 93 to 2001, and then went to Lehigh County, where he served there from 2001 to 2006, and then was an assistant prosecutor in Cape May County, New Jersey, where the laws are quite a bit different, I think. I mean, I went to law school in Rutgers, Camden, and they have a code over there. And then after 2011, you came back to the Bucks County District Attorney's Office as Chief of Prosecution. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. I went around in a big circle, but I'm very happy to have landed where I ended up in Bucks County.
Well, that is a lot of experience, a variety of experience. Could you tell me, like, what did you learn from your experience as a prosecutor? What are you bringing to your office that is kind of the culmination of the best that you could do?
I think one of the most salient things that I could discuss here is that you have to be able to use your discretion. You have to use your judgment. Not everything is black and white. Not everything fits into a cookie-cutter mold. And at the end of the day, even though somebody may commit a crime, there's a human aspect to what we do. And the minute that we forget that, I think that we're losing sight of our purpose in the justice system. So that's very important.
What is the purpose? What is your purpose as the chief prosecutor of Bucks?
The purpose is to protect the citizens of Bucks County. That includes, of course, all the people that live there, as well as the people that come through there and the people that work there. But it also includes the people that we prosecute. There are often cases where we have to prosecute somebody who has preyed on somebody else that may be considered a criminal. And we pride ourselves on not discriminating. We try to call balls and strikes. That's very important. And we always try to make informed decisions, but to get things right, not just to prosecute somebody for the sake of putting a notch on our belt.
Well, I'm very comforted to hear that, So in all transparency, I've known Matt for quite a long time, although I haven't seen him in about 20 years. And so I don't really know his philosophy as a prosecutor, but I always like to say that, we're prosecutors, not persecutors. And so you're drawing a line of, holding the DA's office to a higher standard. In other words, the chief prosecutor, the prosecution's office serves the public, including the defendants. Whereas a private attorney, and I've been a private attorney, my only goal is to represent my client. But you're, as the head of this office, protecting and advocating for the rights of everyone to provide a fair and just system.
That's absolutely right, David. Don't get me wrong. When it comes time to being tough on crime, I'm all about that. But I do believe that everybody deserves a fair shot. And if you've gotten your fair shot and there's equal representation on both sides, the defense and the prosecution, the right result will occur. And then I can go to sleep well every night knowing that we did our job to the best of our abilities.
There's a interesting thing. I was in my car listening to the radio, and I heard something, and I'd like you to tell me a little more about it. I was listening to a case where there was I think an armed robbery, a robbery of some sorts in a pizza shop, and one of the customers ended up shooting the robber, and unfortunately he died. But then your office, you declined prosecution.
Yeah, to clarify that, David, and the case is still pending, so I'll speak about it with as much depth as I can. But to clarify it, there was a gentleman in the pizza shop. It was almost time for the pizza shop to close. And believe it or not, at least the evidence shows that the two robbers came in almost at closing. But just before that, the two robbers' mother and one of their girlfriends came in and cased the joint for them, went out and reported that there was only the one customer there. And these two robbers went in with bandanas and gloves, and they threatened everybody with what appeared to be guns. And not only that, but then they pistol whipped this one customer in the head. And then the customer, I give him full credit for this, he assessed the situation. He made a determination that they were certainly being threatened with death or serious injury. And he shot and fired on both of these robbers, and he struck both of them. He killed one of them almost instantly, and the other one he wounded gravely. So that was a lot really to sort through. We were fortunate in that we had not only the local police in Middletown, who did an excellent job, Middletown Township, but the Bucks County detectives also collaborated with them. It was a joint investigation. And one of the things that I felt that was critical, of paramount importance, was to see if we could make some kind of a determination immediately with respect to the shooter.
Right.
I didn't think it would be fair to allow him to twist in the wind one way or the other while we decided his fate.
Right.
So we were able to gather all that information together really quickly within a day and made a determination that he was justified in the homicide of the one robber and in the grievous wounding of the other robber. There was just one wrinkle, though, David. This otherwise law-abiding citizen had a gun on him, a handgun, and it was concealed. And as you know, in Pennsylvania, if you have a concealed weapon on you, you need a permit to carry if it's in public.
Right.
So he had formerly had a valid permit to carry his concealed weapon. It had expired. And even though there's a 6-month grace period in which you can renew that license,
yes,
that grace period had run as well. So there was a great debate in my office about whether we should reserve on that whether we should charge him with that offense or whether we should clear him. And we wrestled with this all the way up until the time of the press conference that day. And I just wrestled with it myself, and I said, you know what, I have to go with my gut. And my instincts say this is an otherwise law-abiding citizen who has followed the laws all his life. He only used the force that was necessary to save his own life and that of the other pizza shop guys. And he did what he thought was justified, and I wasn't going to penalize him for doing that.
Right. Now, you know, in any group of people, you're going to have people who agree and disagree. I'll say that I personally agree with that wholeheartedly. I was just kind of reminiscing about when I first went to Arizona. I turned on the radio, and, you know, I heard a story about a guy who had burglarized a house, broke the window. Nobody was home, but on his way into the house, he cut his wrist and he bled to death in the kitchen. And the family was suing the homeowners, and it was in court. And I'm like, wow, I don't think that's representative of Arizona. It's just a very strange kind of case. But many people do hear about situations where they say, you know, hey, I would have done the same thing. And as a result, why would I, or why is that person being prosecuted? You know, what's going on there? And so, one, I do respect, you know, your courage and your, you know, your sense of right and wrong and your ability to make those quick decisions, because basically you're saying you're putting, instead of dragging it out, you know, you made a decision as quickly as possible and you stand by it, whether people agree or don't agree. But I think, listen, I'm going to just say that I think a mass majority of people would say that was the right thing to do.
I have to say, thankfully, that the feedback has been great. It's been amazing. Certainly people could say you need to treat everybody equally under the law, but I think there's a distinction that can be drawn. You have to treat everybody fairly under the law, which is different than equally.
Right.
Everybody deserves the equal protection, but each of us is an individual, and if I were not to have taken that customer's individual circumstance into consideration, I think I may have gotten it wrong. So I was very relieved to get the good positive feedback, but I didn't know that I would get that at the time I made the decision, and I'm just glad that it worked out for him.
Okay, well, that's fantastic. Let me ask you this, Matt. I mean, basically, you are now in charge of an office of 37 prosecutors, a total staff of 88 employees of the district attorney's office. What are you going to focus on?
I think the obvious answer, David, is right now the heroin scourge, the opiate scourge. It just impacts every facet of not only our prosecution but our community and the lives of the people in our community. I think we used to say that was in somebody else's jurisdiction or not in my backyard. Not only isn't it merely in our backyards, it's in our homes. It is so pervasive, David, and unfortunately, merely arresting people that use drugs is not going to solve the problem. It may provide us a little bit of short-term relief. It may provide that individual with some short-term relief, but we need to take a multi-pronged approach: education, prevention, treatment, and prosecution. We're always going to be here. It's job security for us to be able to prosecute these people. And don't get me wrong, if a person that is under the influence of drugs or alcohol commits an additional crime where they offend against another person, we're going to prosecute them as fullest extent that we can. Mm-hmm. But we also need to be creative and innovative in how we're going to approach this problem, because, in my opinion, it's just getting worse, not better.
You know, the guest that I had on last week, you know him, is the Pennsylvania Secretary of Drug and Alcohol Programs, Gary Tennis, former Philadelphia Assistant DA. And he pretty much said the same thing. I mean, this is a true epidemic, a true crisis, and just the amount of, drug addictions that we have, in large part because of the very strong opioids that are out that unfortunately are getting, regular folks addicted to opioids. And then, unfortunately, Philadelphia is a gateway city for heroin. We have some of the purest, some of the best heroin on the East Coast. And so that raises the problem that, our government is set up kind of like there's Bucks County, there's Philadelphia County, there's the city of Philadelphia, there's other cities. Everybody's got their own law enforcement thing. They got their own drug addiction. They have their own bureaucracies. How can we work together better? How do you, as the chief prosecutor of Bucks County, how do you work to see that we have more cooperation where it makes sense to address these problems that we're facing?
That's a great question, David. And just to give people perspective, Bucks County borders Montgomery County and Philadelphia on one side, Lehigh County, Northampton to the north, and Trenton and New Jersey to the east. So we're at a literal crossroads, especially when you consider the drug trade in Bucks County. And one of the things that I've personally experienced is any time that I've collaborated with my colleagues in Montgomery County in law enforcement or in Philadelphia or any of the places I mentioned, I've always gotten great cooperation. But I think you hit it on the head, David. We need to cut through the bureaucracy. I need to be able to pick up the phone and make a phone call and speak to somebody that can give me a decision. And I think that because I've been doing this for about a quarter century now, hard to believe, I'm able to cultivate those contacts. The issue is, and I think we were discussing this out in the hallway, is sometimes the regimes change.
Right.
Every 4 years, or you may be talking with a new assistant DA who you didn't know just a minute ago. So we need to figure out a way to unify that. And we do share resources pretty well.
Yeah, one of the things that, I had 7 hearings here in Philadelphia, public hearings, going out into communities talking about the heroin opioid crisis. And, I invited the commissioners from Delaware County, Bucks County, Montgomery County, Chester County, and southern New Jersey from Camden County. And it would make sense to me that we had some type of a task force that we began to look at issues, together. Because some of the unfortunate things that have come to my attention is that there's such a separation between, for example, one of our outlying counties in Philadelphia County, that if your daughter, for example, who lives in Chester County is in Philadelphia County, and you had private insurance and you were told to get public insurance in order to get the treatment she needed, now she can't be treated in Philadelphia because she can only be treated in Chester County. And as you know, it's so critical to catch, unfortunately, these drug-addicted folks at the right time.
And one of to flip that over to just the crime analysis, David, is the defendants, the criminals, they don't care whether they're in Bucks County, Montgomery County, Philadelphia. They're going to go wherever they can commit the crimes, the easiest.
Right.
So if they're that mobile, we need to be prepared to be mobile as well. And one of the things that we've cultivated, you asked me what was on my long-range plans and agenda, we've cultivated a local DNA database.
Oh, okay.
In which we are encouraging other counties. I know Philadelphia has their own, and they're connected with the national database, which is the best. That's the gold standard.
Right.
But in Bucks County, because we realize that criminals go wherever they can commit crime, it's like the old Willie Horton, why'd you rob all those banks? Well, that's because that's where the money is.
Right.
In this instance, we need to be able to unite we have 60-some municipalities in Bucks County. And Philadelphia, as I said, and all these other adjoining counties, we need to be able to share data. So we're doing that with this database, and we hope to expand it to include pawn shops, DNA, you name it. We want to be one unified crime-fighting entity at some point.
One of the scariest scenarios for any citizen is a home invasion robbery. And we've had a series of those here in Philadelphia where not only in Philadelphia, but the criminals follow the residents back to, for example, Bucks County. And, a home invasion robbery, people are in your home with, loaded guns pointed at your children's heads. And as you know, there have been some horrendous cases where when they want the money first, they do some serious damage to let you know that they're not standing for any idling around. Have you dealt with that problem?
Yes. It is explicitly occurring in instances where the belief is that that there is knowledge that the target has money. In other words, this person may be known to the robbers as a drug dealer.
Right.
And then they explicitly will follow that person back. And we just had an instance a couple nights ago where a guy had his throat cut almost ear to ear. He lived miraculously, but this was a setup of a known targeted victim.
And a lot of what we're dealing with is people following store owners. And the scary thing is, or going into their homes, which is just above their stores. And some of these store owners are not wealthy at all. And they don't have the money that these criminals think they might have. And that's even scarier to me, because if someone is hurting your spouse or your children, saying, give me the money, and you don't have any, the damage has been done. They're not getting any money. You don't have any. So, what are the things that you would, as you travel? Now for us, like myself, I'm a Philadelphia councilman. We're the city and county of Philadelphia. And so for many folks in Philadelphia, it's just a whole different situation when you have a county government and you have different mayors, different, councils, different types of governments, and here you are, the prosecutor for the whole county. You got to interface with them and then just deal with Philadelphia and all the other folks in Delaware County, Montgomery County, New Jersey. How are you going to? What is your approach to dealing with the complexities of today's law enforcement and as you said, the mobility and the interaction?
Well, I was hoping when I became DA they would tell me that they have a training for that, but they really don't. So. One of the things that I want to try to accomplish is to unite as many people as possible. For example, one of the things that we prided ourselves on is distribution of Narcan, which is a life-saving drug. It's not a cure for heroin or opiate use, but it actually can revive somebody. And we have all but 2 of our 39 police agencies that now stock Narcan, and they give Narcan to their police. And it's the age-old thing. How do you want to get something done? A journey starts, 1,000-mile journey starts with a single step. So I'm just going to take one step at a time.
All right, thank you. Now I'm going to ask you to hold off for a second. We have to take a commercial break. But let me tell our listeners. Listen, I'm looking at Lieutenant Colonel Ed Croot standing right in front of me with Captain Brooks and Captain Tintera, and of course the lovely and talented songstress Carol Riddick. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You are listening to In the Know with David O. Informative, substantive, intelligent talk radio on 860 AM WWDB.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by the Philly Labor RX Injured Workers Pharmacy Network, featuring PPC Pharmacy, First Choice Pharmacy, and Precision Scripts, providing injured workers with premium products and services from the point of injury through the entire healing process. The Philly Labor RX Pharmacy Network cares about injured workers.
Think of all the purchases you need to make this holiday season. Gifts, food, travel, and everything to make the season brighter. Well, we've got a card for that. At American Heritage Federal Credit Union, our Platinum MasterCard gives you buying power, a great low rate, and rewards too. With no annual fee, it's the perfect holiday and everyday credit card. Apply for yours now at cardforthat.com or call 888-553-1234. American Heritage Federal Credit Union. We've got a card for that.
My friends, this is Joe Kraus. You've heard me on Philadelphia radio now for over 20 years, and you know I don't often endorse products or people unless they are real game changers. I want to tell you about Weinerman Pain and Wellness, located in Center City, Philadelphia. And at the end of this short personal endorsement, I want you to consider Weinerman Pain and Wellness. If you are recovering from an injury, if you or a family member has been diagnosed with a disorder that has stopped you in your tracks, or if you're like me, determined to learn about wellness while getting yourself prepared to stay healthy so you can enjoy the blessings of your family. Remember the name of this warm and caring location, Weinerman Pain and Wellness. Why should you consider Weinerman Pain and Wellness? Because they are who you expect them to be. Weinerman Pain and Wellness, on the web at WeinermanPainandWellness.com.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Welcome back. This is Philadelphia Councilman David O. I am very thankful to be here with you. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I sure did. I told myself I'm not going to overeat. And you know what? 4 plates later, I was in a deep coma.
Yeah.
Listen, be sure to tune in next week, Tuesday, 2 o'clock, December the 6th. Our featured guest is just a wonderful guy. And fortunately for the people in New Jersey, he's an elected official, Ryan Peters. Ryan Peters, super intelligent guy, well-educated, graduate of Annapolis. He is a lieutenant commander, U.S. Navy SEALs. He was active duty. He is just a fantastic person. And he is serving not only our country but our global democracy. A very good friend of mine, and I know of Carol Riddick's, is two-time Grammy Award winner Carvin Hagen's hitmaker, very special person. And then our question is, appropriately, how do I protect my music? Okay, for all you artists out there and musicians, whatnot, we have Bernie Resnick, top entertainment lawyer, just a musician himself, but just really very grateful to have him on. Now, we're getting back to District Attorney Matthew D. Weintraub. He's telling us about Bucks County and what's going on there. And, yeah, Bucks County and everything because criminals don't have borders, And so let's get back with Matt. Matt, as you look at, your role, I'm sure your awesome responsibilities, what are you doing and what do you want to leave the listeners with?
I take very seriously that I'm a public servant, and I really don't have to instill this, but if I had to instill one quality in my staff, it would be that, and that we are answerable to the public. And so if you have an issue in Bucks County, or if something crosses over the border of Philadelphia to Bucks County, you just got to give us a call. We're accessible. I pride myself on having my office staff be accessible to the people because that's who we're answerable to. And I want people to be able to have a positive contact with us. And if I could just spin out on that for a second, David.
Sure.
One of the things that I think that we've come to take for granted, and it's great that you mentioned Thanksgiving, is our law enforcement, our first responders, our military. And I think that certainly we've improved in being thankful for our military, but I would say that our first responding police officers right now are really under siege in a lot of areas. And I'm not asking anybody to become a vigilante. In fact, quite the opposite. Let the police, let the first responding EMTs or the firefighters do their jobs. But it's also nice to give them some recognition every once in a while. And that can be just as easy as going up to somebody that you know is in law enforcement or a first responder and saying thank you. And we certainly can't get through life without them being that invisible protective shield for us. And I think that if we tend to not take them for granted, it would make their job a lot easier, and therefore it would make my job a lot easier to protect the citizens of Bucks County and the people that come through there every day.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Let me say that, I'm an elected official, and people think, oh, you're elected, you're very privileged. I have days where I'm kind of walking around and somebody says, hey, thank you for what you do. And boy, what a pickup that is. I'm like, wow, I didn't realize how important that was until, I've been in this position. And, I try my best when I see one of our first responders to say good morning or good afternoon or thanks for being out here, whatever, because, they serve us. And, in the role that you have now, more than you ever did before, one of the most unfortunate things that you and I experience, I know the captains here, is we go to funerals. We go to hospitals, and boy, what a stark reality it is that the price of these jobs can be your life and your family. And it is a small thing to say thank you and to support the people because we need them. And, I agree. Listen, but we got to thank the folks who do this. They don't do it for the money.
Absolutely right, David. Thank you for letting me say that, too.
No, thank you. Listen, I'm going to end with this. I don't know if it's a really appropriate thing to do. I think it is. But basically, you have taken over a role, and you have been put in by a board of judges, which really shows, just the confidence that they have. I couldn't think of a better person than you. But you got an election next year. Is that right?
Yes, I do. Next year, I have to run for the position. I have a wonderful advantage in getting to prove myself to the voters this year. And I'm going to run very hard and very strong, and I expect to win the election next year, but I need everybody's support to do that. So if you support me, I would be happy to accept it. Thank you.
Well, hey, you know what? This is a non-political guy. He's a lifelong prosecutor. You're going to be a politician next year. So he needs everybody's help. What a dirty business that is. But hey, good luck to you. And certainly you have my support because I know you and you are a fantastic person. And the people of Bucks County are so fortunate to have you. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, David. Thank you for having me on the show.
All right. And now, listen, we have just a wonderful person here, not only because she's so talented, but also she is a very giving person. And, I'll get into that a little bit later, but let me just welcome Carol Riddick.
Well, hello, everybody.
Wow, listen to that voice.
Thank you so much for the invitation to come and spend some time with you guys.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm sure most people know who you are, but for those who don't, could you just tell them a little bit about what makes you Carol Riddick?
What makes me Carol Riddick? Well, I am a songstress. I'm a songwriter. I'm a producer. I'm a label owner. And I'm also on the Board of Governors for the Philadelphia chapter of the Recording Academy.
Wow.
Well, for those who don't know, the Recording Academy is the entity, the organization that facilitates and hosts the Grammy Awards.
And you started out kind of as a backup singer to some really famous people.
I sure did. Actually, my very first tour was with Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Oh, get out of here.
Or those formerly known as.
Yes. And you have gone on to sing with some others, I think Jill Scott, right?
I have, yes. So I've toured with Jill Scott, with Les Nubians, the French group, with Music Soul Child, Jeff Bradshaw, Norman Brown, Gerald Beasley, Will Downing,
so
Anthony Hamilton. I don't.
A lot,
yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
And let me ask you this. So there you are, picked up by these, really famous, popular musicians, artists, whatnot. And your voice is a voice that is being distinguished on their CDs. And then you take that step out on your own. Can you tell our listeners, some of the musicians themselves, what was that like?
Oh, it was incredible. It is incredible. I love all of what I get to do. Just being able to do what I get to do is it's euphoric for me. I still enjoy being a background vocalist because I get to be a part of some projects that I believe to be great.
All right. Well, if I ever get out to sing,
you're
going to back me up?
You play your guitar. But, stepping out as a lead vocalist, is such a huge responsibility. You know, that's when you take control of your own machine, and it's a whole nother monster. You know, being a background vocalist, you have a responsibility because you're helping to shape the colors and the sound of the artist you're supporting.
Right.
But, you know, when you're, as the lead vocalist, as the lead artist, sharing your own vision and inviting others to help you make it come to fruition it's difficult, but it's enjoyable just the same.
You know what kind of strikes me, and I don't know if this is accurate, but it would seem to me that everyone who's a really talented singer, you know, that's their dream. But I'm going to guess that a lot of people, for whatever reason, they're too scared to step out and make it happen.
Oh, my goodness. When I tell you there is so much truth to that statement, I was studying. I was going to Temple studying journalism. I was studying communications. I was going to be an anchor woman. And I loved to sing. Since I was a little girl,
Right.
all I did was listen to everything, whether it be jazz, R&B, whatever it was, pop, rock. You know, there were so many different family members of mine that listened to everything across the board.
Right.
So I would sit with them and listen to music, and I would just sing everything. And I loved music so much, but I was so afraid because I did not believe in my own talent. I didn't think I was talented, quite honestly.
Right.
And it took for someone to push me.
And who pushed you?
Actually, you know, it was someone I'd met. The short story is that I was walking across the street, and this gentleman had almost hit me with his car.
Wow.
And we had a conversation after laughing and joking about it. We had a conversation. He was in a band, and he told me that they were auditioning. And he said, "You should come." But he was telling me these horror stories of people they had auditioned. So he was, you know, trying to make an example of me as well.
Right.
And I actually, after getting to know him after a while, I said, "I want to come and check you guys out." And I went to the audition, and he said, "She can sing." I said, No. And they said, "No, come on, sing a little bit." And I sang. And they asked me to join the group. And that was how it all started for me.
From almost getting hit by a car.
I know.
Is that providence or what? You know, it's like, is that God's plan or something? What's happening there?
Divine intervention,
Yes.
I tell you.
And so from that fateful occasion, you are now, I think you just came out with a new CD, didn't you?
Yes. It's called Love Phases.
Love Phases.
Yes, and every song on this project, it speaks toward the different facets of love, whether it be with regard to it's some emotional self-love, romantic love. This project was very close. You know, it is very close to me. Because
you not only sing, you write and produce, all the music.
I do.
So there's a lot of you in this.
There is a lot of me. Well, actually, this is my sophomore project. So in the first project, I did a majority, not all. I stand corrected, but a majority of the writing, and it was co-produced by James Poyser. This project was co-executively produced by none other than Mr. Carvin Hayes.
Oh,
yes.
our guy.
Yes. So he wrote as well and did the majority of the production on this project. I wanted to demonstrate my versatility. So I was asking for help. You know, I wanted to see how other artistic individuals saw and heard me, and to see if I
Did you know that I have telepathic abilities?
Oh, I did not.
Yeah, because right now the listeners are saying, get her to sing, get her to do some of that versatility. You know, the thing that I love about you, by the way, is that you are a true professional, because she will sing on the spot. No preparation, no, she just, bam, out it comes.
I think I'm just used to doing that. You run onto a stage, you grab a mic.
Oh my goodness! Not everybody does it. Not even professionals. You know, it's so interesting to me. You know, I know professional musicians, and when we ask to do something like 2 days from now, they're like, "I'm not ready." I'm like, "You cannot be ready." But anyway, listen. I'm not saying because I don't know. I'm not a musician. But with that, could you think of a kind of a song that shows some of your abilities?
I have it. Okay, Music Soul Child.
Okay.
A song for which she's become very familiar. Soul Star.
All right.
So I'm the voice on that track. And it goes a little something like this. Soul Star, oh, you've come so far from where you Don't be afraid to let your light shine on the world.
All right, fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's outstanding, and it's so important because people have such different abilities, and as you said, sometimes they don't even know the gift that they got.
How about that?
Yeah, but once finding the gift and having the opportunity to develop it, because it takes work.
And it does. It does.
Yes, you can earn a living and even provide a living for others.
This is so very true, and I'm enjoying doing that. It's really it's been feeding me. It's been fulfilling to me to be able to help those coming up now.
Yeah, and let me say that you volunteer on PHL Live. It's one of my initiatives, and I really am grateful for that. You were at the Warm Daddies, after selecting finalists from our video submissions, all done for free. Then you listened to the performers, the finalists, and then you had the tough job of voting for one of them. I'm gonna, I don't know who it was, but anyway, we'll find out on December the 8th when we announce our winners.
And you know what? Having had the opportunity to participate in this program, in this project, has really been a lot of fun. And each year, the submissions, they just keep getting better and better.
Yeah, for anybody who has the musical itch, and I know you got to because you're listening to Carol Riddick. I listen to Carol Riddick. I feel like I should sing. But listen, www.phllive.org. It's free, and you could win $1,000 in 10 different musical categories, and a People's Choice, it's $11,000 in all. But more important than the free studio recording time and all of that, is you get reviewed by Carol Riddick, Carvin Hagens, all these people, and then you get to make those connections and those good things. Speaking of which, could you tell our listeners, your social media, your contact, where to get your stuff, all that kind of thing?
Absolutely. I'm all over the internet. On Instagram, I am Carol_Riddick. That's Riddick, like the Chronicles. Right. On Facebook, I'm Carol Riddick. Fan page. I have 2 pages, and carolriddick.vocalist, because there are other Carol Riddicks. Pretty much Carol_Riddick for every other social media platform as well. Oh,
fantastic. And listen, finally, if somebody wants to come see you live, and a show and all, do you have something coming up, anything like that, or where would they find that news?
I do. The next local concert I have is on December 10th, and you can find that online. That's in the tri-state area. It's in New Jersey. I don't know where. I know it's in New Jersey.
They can find
it online. They can find it. I post it on Facebook. I also post it on Instagram. I'm always posting. I'm trying to get better at posting.
December the 10th is a Saturday. I know that. And so get your tickets.
You knew more than I did.
Yep, Carol Riddick Live. And thank you so very much for being here. Really appreciate it. And good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye,
fantastic.
Guys.
You are listening to In the Know with David O. Informative, substantive, intelligent talk radio on 860 AM WWDB.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by the Philly Labor RX Injured Workers Pharmacy Network, featuring PPC Pharmacy, First Choice Pharmacy, and Precision Scripts, providing injured workers with premium products and services from the point of injury through the entire healing process. The Philly Labor RX Pharmacy Network cares about injured workers.
This holiday season, you probably have your own wish list. A new kitchen, a new home, or a new car for the new year. Well, we've got a loan for that. At American Heritage Federal Credit Union, we have the perfect loan to make your wish list come true. With great low rates and flexible terms designed to fit your budget. Visit loansforthat.com. That's loansforthat.com to get started today. Or call 888-553-1234. American Heritage Federal Credit Union. We've got a loan for that. Think of all the purchases you need to make this holiday season. Gifts, food, travel, and everything to make the season brighter. Well, we've got a card for that. At American Heritage Federal Credit Union, our Platinum MasterCard gives you buying power, a great low rate, and rewards too. With no annual fee, it's the perfect holiday and everyday credit card. Apply for yours now at cardforthat.com or call 888-553-1234. American Heritage Federal Credit Union. We've got a card for that.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by the Philly Labor RX Injured Workers Pharmacy Network, featuring PPC Pharmacy, First Choice Pharmacy, and Precision Scripts, providing injured workers with premium products and services from the point of injury through the entire healing process. The Philly Labor RX Pharmacy Network cares about injured workers.
Do you let other people order for you at a restaurant?
He'll have the saumon lyonnaise.
No, I won't. Or pick the movie you're going to see? She'd like a ticket to Attack on Rage Mountain.
Really?
Yeah, come on. So why would you let others make all the important decisions about how your life is going to be when you get older? I mean, is it okay with you if your kids decide where you're going to live? My kids? Are you out of...
Are you kidding?
Or perfect strangers choose who will be taking care of you?
Not gonna happen.
No, Better visit longtermcare.gov, the trusted information site that helps you find your own path forward without selling you anything. It takes you step by step through everything you need to consider about aging and all your options. Longtermcare.gov. Stay in charge by planning now or pay later.
How about a mohawk?
How about a mohawk? How about I put my foot right... Oh, hi, honey.
Good afternoon. This is David O. You're in the know with David O. With me. Thank you. And thank you for listening. I know it's there's a lot going on out there, and I hope you find this show worthwhile. You know, I try to bring you good information, some insights from people who really know what they're talking about that matter to you and matter to me. Well, please tune in next week. You know, I have three great guests. U.S. Navy SEAL Ryan Peters, who is an elected official, a New Jersey freeholder in Burlington County, and an attorney in Philadelphia. Just a fantastic person. Two-time Grammy Award winner, Carvin Hagens, hit maker. He's responsible for over 80 million records sold. And Bernie Resnick, one of the top entertainment lawyers here in this region, but also nationally and internationally. And now our question this week, which comes from you. So if you have a question, please let me know. You can email your question to davidoRadioshow@gmail.com, or if you're on Facebook, you know, in the know with David O, you know, send me your question. And here's a question. It's near and dear to my heart. I mean, how to pay for college. I mean, college, man, you know, when I was in college, I'll tell you, which was a long time ago, but, you know, my college cost $5,600 for the year, including room and board. I think it's more like $50,000. And even when I was going to college, it went from like $5,600 to like $12,000, which I thought was huge, but nothing compared to the cost of college today. And look, there's not too many people. While college is not for everyone, and not everyone's going to find their best, future through college, but for most people, college is very important to shape you and all that. But it is so expensive, and so one of the solutions that may be right for you is the U.S. Army. And joining me is Lieutenant Colonel Ed Croot. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining me.
Good afternoon. Thank you, sir. Good to see you again.
Oh, good seeing you. Well, listen, for those who are not sitting here, Lieutenant Colonel Croot, we just call him Colonel Croot, is a special kind of guy. It says so on his uniform. It says Special Forces. He's a U.S. Army Green Beret. You know, he jumps out of airplanes, helicopters, all that kind of crazy stuff. But like many people, he's one of the nicest guys you'll meet, very intelligent, well-educated gentleman. And so he has been kind of selected because recruiting is so important to today's military, the U.S. Army included. Could you tell us about your mission and what you're trying to do here with your command?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks. First off, there's a paradigm out there that's existed for a while. And so the Chief of Staff of the Army several years ago said, you know what, I got to get guys to their home states for a couple of years to reconnect with the community and to understand more what we're looking for in the Army. And so myself, I'm a Jersey kid along with Captain Tintera, who's with me today, and then Captain Brooks's family is from Philadelphia.
Okay.
And so they wanted us to try and reconnect to the community and explain more about what we're after. And so we get enough infantry, armor, special forces, those types of soldiers. Honestly, they enlist in droves down in North Carolina, Florida, Georgia, you name the southern state. Our mission up in the Northeast, particularly the academic belt, is for linguists, medical, cybersecurity, satellite technicians, computer technicians. There's 150 jobs in the Army. Only 146 of those have everything to do with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Wow.
That support the 4 jobs that actually do the combat fighting. And most of those are housed in the local reserves.
Okay.
And so we have over 800 vacancies in this footprint, this area for the reserves. The reserves, you go to basic training for 8 weeks. You go to about 16 weeks of training at advanced individual training. And that's it. You're qualified, and then you serve 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks during the summer in what we call drill. And so if you want me to continue on and tie that into other opportunities,
yes, please.
Understanding what the reserves is. People don't understand what's happening to our young men and women in their 20s right now as they're trying to get a job and pursue. So I'm going to give everybody an article to read on your own. You can Google it. It's called Why College Kinda Ruined My Life. And the periodical is actually Consumer Reports, August 2015. I will not tell you that college is a bad thing. It's a great thing. I have 4 degrees myself that the Army paid for. And college is incredibly important. But people need to understand to be careful on the pathway to that degree because of what's happening to kids. So there's one example. A Philadelphia native herself went to LaSalle High School and the university. She's in $91,000 in debt right now, 32 years old, and she cannot get a job in what she's trying to pursue. So she's stuck in what's called gray collar.
Right.
And what happens is right now it's so competitive. So many jobs have gone overseas. And the market is so competitive. Human jobs have been replaced by robot jobs or social media, et cetera, so on.
Yes.
So it's competitive. People need to understand that. To get a job now, it's not just the degree. Number one, they need to be able to show some kind of experience. Number two is certifications. So if you're not familiar with certifications, there's been an explosion in the importance of that in the last 10 years. Why? We're in a sue-happy world now.
Yes.
So when an employee makes a mistake, the company is not covered by your university degree. They're covered by your certification.
Right.
And so certifications is incredibly important. Number 3 is the intangibles. And this is something that I want people to understand. This is just Ed Croot. This is just what I've heard from over 100 different job fairs that I've been to. I'll call them the intangibles. We call them in the Army values. But an employer is looking at a young man or woman. They want to know, are you going to show up to work on time? The drug problem with the opiates that you talked about, absolutely rampant. Only 3 out of 10 people are qualifying that walk through our doors right now, and a good bit of them is because of the drug use. So it is absolutely rampant. I'll confirm that from our footprint.
Right.
They want to know, if my company is faced with a complex problem, are you going to stand next to me and help me solve that problem? Or better yet, do you stand a chance of standing up in a leadership role to help me solve that problem? And then the employer wants to know, do you have respect for the other sex? Do you have respect for other races? Do you have respect for other cultures? Right. Or more importantly, are you going to stand up in today's day and age and do the right thing if you see that happening in the workplace? So these 4 things, experience, certification, the intangibles, and the college degree is what a young man or woman needs right now. But this footprint, on average, our young men and women are finding themselves in $80,000 worth of debt, and then that medical cost comes in. They now have to start spending $300 a month for about a $1,200 deductible.
Right.
The money starts building up. They can't get the job pursuing their passion. Engineering, man, I talk to criminal justice majors 10 a week. They can't get a job. And so they find themselves about a year or 2 years or 3 years where they're trying to pay off their student loan. They've got the medical coverage that's also. They can't get the job following their passion, so they end up taking a gray-collar job. I won't name different places where those gray-collar jobs are, but they're not allowing them to build the experience, get the certification, what that they need so they can be competitive with their resume.
So in addition to providing an answer to those questions, the military, in particular the U.S. Army, provides a pathway. Could you tell us, and first of all, for anyone listening, how can they connect with you and your recruiters?
It's very easy to connect with us, and you can go to www.goarmy.com. You can put in your zip code, and we will tell you where one of our 38 centers are within the footprint. I'd also like to ask my two company commanders to give their names and phone numbers real quick, so that if you're having trouble on the internet, you can directly call them within the Philadelphia area. So go ahead, guys.
Good afternoon. My name is Captain Brooks, and my phone number is 732-644-9213. Once again, 732-644-9213.
And that's for Philadelphia. Is that the Philadelphia area?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fantastic.
I'm Captain Ryan Tintera. I'm the Valley Forge Company Commander. I cover Bucks County, Montgomery County, and Delaware County. My phone number is 201-844-1634. All
right. What I'm going to do to answer that question, because I know time is valuable, I'm going to take a young lady, and I'm going to tell you her story, and it's going to vignette every opportunity that we're talking about.
Okay.
So this, on my second week on the job, my recruiters locally said, you got to meet this girl. She is a sergeant, E5, in the Army Reserves locally, and she is in charge of 9 soldiers and a medical hospital. I was like, okay, she's a 68 whiskey, which means a combat medic. So I said, okay, that's great. Why do you think my recruiters want me to talk to you? And she said, sir, it's because of the pathway I chose. Great. What did you do? Junior year in high school, I was watching my mom and dad have to save for my college, my brother, and my sister, working very hard. Middle-class family. The path to success is only college, right? That's what we always heard.
Right.
So I first said, I want to try and see if I can help my parents pay for college, but I also want to confirm or deny my passion to be a doctor. I have that passion because I just watched Grey's Anatomy for the last 10 years, but I've never stopped bleeding. I've never stopped I've never set a broken bone. I've never responded to anything medically. So I want to confirm or deny my passion as well. So she finally makes her way to an Army recruiter. She also wants to get into Rutgers at the time, and she wants to get into biology, and her grades are pretty good. She's going to be close, and she knows that. So she enlists as a 17-year-old junior in high school with permission from her parents to go first to basic training 8 weeks. She goes to basic training and, like me, fell in love with the Army. Loved the leadership and discipline. Comes back for her senior year in high school. Now, here's where it gets good. She's now wants to apply to, I said the school already, I shouldn't, but over on the Jersey side, she goes to apply to their biology department. Is she applying like a senior in high school? No, she's not. She's applying as a service member now. And instead of having to compete with everybody else, she's over here in the veterans and service member preference pile. Very important to universities for them to maintain their millions of dollars in grants, that they keep their population of veterans and service members up. So it's a competition strategy for her to get into the right school. The next piece is she gets in eventually. She comes around and she starts Rutgers. Okay. What she does is she does 3 summer deployments of 2 weeks each, where she gets experience in Hawaii, Triple Army Airfield Hospital in the emergency room. She gets experience at Walter Reed for 2 weeks the next summer in the recovery room, and then goes to Camp Bondsteel for 3 weeks the following summer, where she's in charge of a hospital. So as I talk to her, she's not number 3 in her medical class at the university I just said in her 3rd year. She's not that because she's smarter than everybody else. It's because, A, she didn't have the money pressure because she was able to pay for college through the military. She was able to use AMED grant money to help her get her medical degree now.
Right.
She also now has all this experience within the medical field, so she's not afraid. She walks into the hospital to do a residency, and she understands exactly how the doctors and the nurses are set up, how the entire system works. So that's why she's so successful.
Fantastic. So www.goarmy.com. GoArmy.com. It's money for college. It's experience. It's leadership. It's values. It's employability. You're getting all of that. And if you have the ability and talent and the drive, and you are just looking for, hey, how am I going to get there? www.goarmy.com. Hook up with these gentlemen here, and you are on your way. Thank you so very much. See you next week.
You've been listening to In the Know with David O on 860 AM WWDB. Tune in again next Tuesday at 2 p.m. for more informative, substantive, intelligent talk radio with Philadelphia Councilman David O.